The situation surrounding Papoose, Claressa Shields, and Remy Ma has taken yet another unexpected turn, and once again, the internet is watching every move closely. This isn't just another celebrity breakup or messy divorce story. What makes this situation stand out is how quickly everything escalated, how deeply personal it became, and how many unanswered questions still remain. One moment, the conversation was about love, future plans, and starting a family. The next, it was filled with cheating rumors, old accusations resurfacing, and people questioning whether anyone involved ever told the full truth. Just days before the latest rumors began circulating, Claressa Shields spoke openly in an interview about wanting to have children with Papoose next year. She sounded hopeful, confident, and ready for the next phase of her life. But almost immediately after that interview aired, whispers started spreading online that Papoose might already be cheating on her. The timing alone made people pause. When someone publicly talks about building a future, especially something as serious as children, people naturally expect stability behind the scenes. Instead, the narrative flipped almost overnight, leaving the public wondering how things unraveled so fast. As soon as the rumors started gaining traction, social media did what it always does. It reacted instantly and without mercy. Many people weren't shocked at all. In fact, some felt this outcome was predictable. A phrase that gets used often in situations like this began circulating heavily. You lose 'em the same way you get 'em. It wasn't said kindly, and it wasn't meant to be sympathetic, but it resonated with a large portion of the audience because of how this relationship began. Claressa Shields and Papoose started seeing each other while he was still legally married to Remy Ma. While that marriage was already falling apart emotionally, the legal bond was still there. To many observers, that detail matters. It creates a narrative that feels unfinished, unresolved, and risky from the start. For those watching from the outside, the current rumors feel less like a surprise and more like history repeating itself. People began revisiting old interviews, old posts, and old warnings that were once dismissed but now seem harder to ignore. Long before the situation exploded publicly, Remy Ma had already issued warnings about Papoose. She claimed that he was not being honest, that he lacked stability, and that he was benefiting from Claressa's success and status. At the time, those statements were largely brushed off. Many people assumed Remy was speaking from a place of hurt, anger, and resentment after losing her marriage. From Claressa's perspective, it likely sounded exactly like that, bitterness from a woman who had just been replaced. That reaction is understandable. When two women are connected through the same man, trust rarely exists. Claressa didn't see Remy's words as warnings, she saw them as attacks. She believed Remy was projecting pain rather than speaking truth. But just because someone is emotional doesn't automatically mean they're lying. Remy made serious claims, saying Papoose had no stable home, little money, and was relying on Claressa to elevate his lifestyle. At the time, those claims were ignored or minimized. Now, they're being revisited with fresh eyes. The situation truly exploded months later when Remy Ma shared private messages between Claressa and Papoose. According to Remy, she discovered the messages on Papoose's phone while he was asleep in her home. That detail alone shocked many people. Until those messages were made public, a large portion of the audience didn't even know Claressa and Papoose were involved romantically. What had been whispers suddenly became undeniable proof that something was happening behind closed doors. Once those messages were posted, social media erupted. Opinions formed instantly and sides were chosen almost immediately. Remy claimed that when she confronted Claressa directly, Claressa panicked and hung up the phone as soon as she realized who was calling. She also accused Claressa's team of working behind the scenes to control the narrative, painting Remy as unstable while presenting Papoose as a loyal, misunderstood partner caught in the middle of chaos. According to Remy, Papoose refused to speak publicly or correct the story. Instead, she claimed he told her to stay quiet and let things blow over. That silence only fueled her anger and pushed her to speak louder. Remy did not hold back once she decided to speak. One of the most shocking claims she made was that Papoose was told her he would never sleep with Claressa because he found her unattractive. That statement immediately divided the audience. Some found it hard to believe, while others felt it was unnecessarily cruel. Regardless of whether it was true or exaggerated, it added another layer of ugliness to an already messy situation. Claressa responded by questioning Remy's motives. She pointed out that Remy had been involved with other men and asked why she was being attacked over someone who supposedly had a girlfriend. She questioned why Remy continued tagging her online if she had truly moved on. Their back and forth lasted for days, keeping social media locked in and emotionally invested. Throughout most of this, Papoose stayed silent. When he finally spoke, his response didn't calm things down, it escalated them. When Papoose finally addressed the situation, he chose to defend himself rather than de-escalate. He posted a photo of Remy with another man, claiming it was taken on Christmas Day. According to him, while he was home with their daughter, Remy was out with someone else. He suggested that her anger wasn't rooted in betrayal but in jealousy, that she was upset because he had emotionally moved on. That post shifted public perception again. Some began questioning Remy's credibility, while others felt Papoose was deflecting responsibility. The narrative became more complex, with each response raising more questions than answers. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, Remy went live again, and this time she shared deeply personal details about her marriage. She admitted to cheating, but said it didn't happen in a vacuum. According to her, Papoose had been unfaithful for years, even while she was in prison. She accused him of getting other women pregnant and hiding behind an image of devotion that benefited his public reputation. Remy explained that when she returned home from prison, the first thing she did was check his phone. She said she already knew what she would find. She described confronting other women and even fighting baby mothers at family gatherings. She admitted she was angry and reactive, but insisted those women were never lying. She accused Papoose of refusing to be honest publicly because the image of black love protected his brand. According to her, the truth behind closed doors was very different. Remy also addressed the accusations about money directly. She pushed back against the idea that Papoose was financially supporting her, claiming instead that she paid for the house, handled major expenses, and carried much of the financial weight. She criticized the internet for labeling people as broke without understanding the full picture. She also took aim at Claressa's decision to let Papoose manage her career. According to Remy, that move placed Claressa in a vulnerable position, especially given his unresolved baggage. She said if Claressa were truly her friend, she would have warned her differently, encouraging her to focus on her youth, her career, and her future, rather than tying herself to an older man with unresolved issues. The trigger for Remy's outburst was Papoose officially filing for divorce. She made it clear she wasn't going to let him walk away quietly. Almost immediately after Remy ended her live, Papoose responded with his own long statement. He claimed he sacrificed his career to stand by Remy while she served time. He said he drained his savings supporting her, paying bills, caring for children, and visiting her constantly. According to him, he supported her for an entire year without working and never missed important moments. He accused Remy of cheating repeatedly after her release and said he still loved her enough to try therapy. He denied being broke and claimed Remy had asked him for money. Then came another bombshell. Papoose claimed that while Remy publicly criticized others for using ghostwriters, he secretly wrote most of her music. He detailed paying for homes, storage, transportation, and luxury items, insisting he was far more involved financially and creatively than people realized. By that point, the marriage felt less like a relationship and more like a courtroom battle fought online. However, this situation is not new. This isn't something that just popped up out of nowhere. The drama surrounding Papoose and Clarissa's relationship started from the very beginning, and Remy Ma was always a part of that conversation, whether people liked it or not. So when people say, "Why are we still talking about this? It's old," I think that's honestly missing the point. When relationships are public, when marriages are public, when loyalty is public, then unfortunately the fallout is public too. And that's just the reality of celebrity relationships. Let's be real for a second. Papoose and Remy Ma were not just any couple. This was a relationship that people admired. People watched Papoose ride for Remy while she was incarcerated. We watched him show up to court, get into altercations with officers, sit through trial after trial, and remain loyal while the entire world was watching. That wasn't a small thing. That became part of hip-hop culture. That became part of their brand. That became the image of Black love for a lot of people. So when that relationship ended, it wasn't just another celebrity breakup. People were genuinely shocked. Not because relationships can't fail, but because if that relationship couldn't survive prison, court cases, time apart, and all of that public pressure, then people started questioning what really happened behind closed doors. That context matters, and it's exactly why these questions continue to come up. When things first started falling apart publicly, Remy Ma took to social media, and whether you agree with how she handled it or not, she made it very clear that she felt attacked, disrespected, and dragged into a narrative she didn't ask for. She said that every time Papooses' current come-up, meaning Claressa, said her name or did something that felt like a shot at her, she was going to respond, and she stood on that. From Remy's perspective, this wasn't about jealousy. This was about boundaries. She felt like her name kept being brought into conversations unnecessarily, and she wasn't going to sit quietly while people played in her face. But that back and forth is exactly what made the situation spiral even further, because once social media gets involved, there is no such thing as a private disagreement anymore. Everything becomes content, everything becomes speculation, and everything gets amplified. As the tension grew, Claressa and Papoose eventually spoke out, and this is where things started to get complicated. Claressa made it clear that she felt like she was being attacked unfairly. She questioned why Remy was still speaking on the situation when she had already moved on. She questioned why her name was being dragged into a situation that she felt had nothing to do with her anymore. And on the surface, that makes sense. Nobody wants to feel like they're being dragged into someone else's unresolved issues. But again, context matters. Claressa entered a relationship with a man who had a very public marriage, a very public divorce, and a very public history. Whether fair or not, that history doesn't just disappear because a new relationship starts. Now, let's talk about the Breakfast Club interview, because this is where I think a lot of people misunderstood what was actually happening. This was Papooses' first major interview since everything went down. This was the first time a platform that big had the opportunity to ask him directly about his marriage, his divorce, and the allegations surrounding it. So, of course, they were going to ask. Anyone acting shocked by that is being unrealistic. DJ Envy made a comment that went viral where he said, "I just wanted y'all to fix it," and people immediately jumped on that clip without watching the full context. What he was saying wasn't that he wanted them back together romantically. He clarified that he wanted them to fix the friendship, the parenting, and the ability to be on one accord as co-parents. And honestly, that's not an unreasonable thing to say. Divorce is not something that happens overnight. It's paperwork, it's lawyers, it's emotions, it's healing, it's time. Life doesn't just stop because a relationship ends, and learning how to coexist after that takes work. Now, here's where I'm going to be very honest, and I know some people may not agree with me. I don't think Claressa needed to jump in during that specific moment. The question was directed at Papoose, about his marriage and about his ex-wife. Claressa absolutely has the right to speak, but sometimes having the right doesn't mean it's the best move. You should never have to demand space or force your voice into a conversation. Everybody already knows you're there. Everybody already knows y'all are together. There's no confusion about that. Papoose was more than capable of answering that question himself, and honestly, he seemed comfortable doing so. The energy Claressa came with felt defensive, and whether that defensiveness comes from frustration, exhaustion, or insecurity, it doesn't read well publicly, especially when you're standing next to someone who seems calm, open, and willing to talk. One thing I'll say about Papoose is that his story has been consistent for years. He's always talked about the sacrifices he made. He's always talked about standing by Remy. He's always talked about the financial, emotional, and personal toll that period of his life took on him. And regardless of how people feel about him now, nobody can deny that he showed up during that time. Another important point that people keep overlooking is this. During all the years Remy Ma was incarcerated, we never heard cheating allegations attached to Papoose's name, not once. That doesn't mean nothing happened, but it does matter when analyzing timing and credibility. So when allegations suddenly surfaced after the relationship ended and after both parties moved on, people naturally started questioning why those claims were coming out then. Papoose claims Remy cheated. Remy claims Papoose cheated. At this point, it's clear that we're never going to get a fully unbiased version of events. Both sides feel wronged, and both sides are speaking from a place of pain. But here's the thing. Remy had already moved on publicly. She had been seen with someone else. She had relationships. She had a new life. So when she later went online to expose Papoose after he moved on as well, it raised questions. Bitterness doesn't automatically mean someone is lying, but it absolutely affects how the message is received. People keep saying, why are they still asking about Remy? And the answer is simple, because that relationship was iconic. It wasn't a short-term situation. It was prison, freedom, a baby, loyalty, and years of public branding around Black love. That doesn't disappear overnight. If Remy went on The Breakfast Club today with her new partner, they would still ask about Papoose. That's just how media works. Claressa said something that really stood out. She said, "I got 2 Olympic gold medals, 19 world championships. Why would I be second place to another woman?" And I understand that sentiment. She's accomplished. She's successful. She's earned her confidence. But confidence doesn't mean you can't feel threatened by a past that looms large. Being secure doesn't mean pretending the past doesn't exist. It means understanding that it does and not letting it control your reactions. As a woman, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable hearing about your partner's past relationships. They're in the past for a reason. If someone wants to leave, you can't stop them anyway. You can't hold someone hostage in a relationship. Reacting emotionally only gives people something to talk about. At the end of the day, Papoose looks free. He looks happy. He looks like a man who finally feels like himself again. Claressa should focus on her relationship, her happiness, and her experience, not on controlling conversations or shutting down narratives. Now, attention has shifted back to Claressa Shields. Fresh rumors claim Papoose is cheating again, this time on her. The alleged woman is said to be younger, which only intensified online speculation. There's no solid proof, but speculation doesn't need proof to spread. What made this moment hit harder was Claressa's recent interview about wanting children soon. She spoke about wanting to experience motherhood while staying healthy and active. Hearing those plans so close to cheating rumors made people uncomfortable. Some expressed sympathy, others criticized her for ignoring warning signs. As the drama continues, opinions remain deeply divided. Some believe Remy damaged her own image by airing everything publicly. Others feel she finally spoke after staying silent for too long. Some see Papoose as manipulative, while others think he's being unfairly attacked. And Claressa now stands in the middle of a storm that doesn't seem to be slowing down. So the real question isn't just whether Papoose cheated again, it's whether Claressa will continue holding on now that so much has been exposed. Love can make people ignore signs they would normally see clearly, but the internet never forgets. So what do you think? Is Claressa holding on to hope or ignoring reality? Is Papoose misunderstood or repeating old patterns? And is Remy finally telling the truth or reacting out of pain? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because one thing is certain, this story is far from over.